Today's video is kindly sponsored by Class Dojo. Keeping families and parents informed is so important as teachers. And we all know that teachers and families are super busy. In this video, I have 3 ways to keep in touch with families throughout the school year. If you're new here, I'm Rachel Vincent, and I love sharing ways to help teachers simplify their classrooms and their teaching. Back to school night is typically the first time you get to meet families, and sometimes it is the only time you get to see families. So for back to school night, I like to make sure that I have as much information that I can give parents, put it in their hands as possible when I am meeting all of those families. I have tried many different ways throughout my 20 years of teaching, but the easiest way is just to put everything you want parents to take home in a folder so that they can grab it and go. Now, each school is different and requires different information to give out to families. So everything that can go home with parents goes in the folder. Everything they need to fill out and keep at school is on the child's desk. Inside the folder is all the information that I want to share with families about how our classroom works and the upcoming year. And one of the most important things that I put in this folder is our Class Dojo letter. I have used Class Dojo for over 10 years, and I use it with my class store, and students love earning those points to be able to spend in our class store. I have a whole video all about that I will link below in the description box. But I also want to make sure that parents are connecting through Class Dojo so that we can use the message system, the stories, and the portfolios. Once you have your class all set up in Class Dojo, it's really easy to print out the parent letters. It gives them the codes to sign up. I also put a link on my class website so that parents can find it easily and sign up through there. I want to give as many possible ways for parents to get connected on Class Dojo so that when I start to post pictures and things that are happening, they are all connected. I of course include things like our homework policy, our grading policy, and all those different things that parents need to know throughout the year. I make sure they're also included on our class website so that I am hitting different ways of communicating with parents through physical paper, through our class website, through email, through Class Dojo, through all of the different ways. The number one reason I like to use some sort of messaging app with communicating with my families is because it keeps me from having to give out my personal phone number, and sometimes sending a text is so much easier than getting into an email system. And like I said, I've been using Class Dojo for over 10 years, and the ultimate draw for me to Class Dojo was the point system so that I could tie it in with my class store. But I have quickly learned that the messaging part is just as valuable. One of the best parts is lots of teachers use it, and so parents are very familiar with the app. I even have had several parents already ask me this school year if I'm using Class Dojo because they've used it in the past and they really like it. It's really easy, it's very intuitive, and it's one less thing parents have to worry about trying to learn a new type of app or system in order to communicate with their child's teacher. Of course, kids love it. You can send photos and videos of things happening in your classroom. You can put them on the class story. You can add them to individual student portfolios. It just allows for an overall wonderful way to share with families what is happening in your classroom. Another thing that's really great about the Class Dojo app is the fact that it translates what you text into other languages. So if you have families who don't speak English, the Dojo app does all the work for you. The group chat feature is great for if you have several adults connected to one student in order to communicate with them all at once. I also like it so I can connect my parent volunteers with each other and they can coordinate when they're going to come in and help with different things. So it's a really awesome feature for that group chat. I of course have mentioned the class stories and the portfolio system. I really enjoy sharing things that are happening in class. I also really enjoy being able to, when I'm working one-on-one with a student, to film what I'm doing to help a student so that I can send it to that family and they can continue to work on those same types of skills and ask similar questions that I ask their child to further along a student's learning process. One of the things I've also started doing recently to further communicate with parents is when I have conferenced with a parent and we're talking about certain skills, especially behavior type skills that we're working on with just that student, I will set up a skill for that child and have it with no points. So they're not getting points and they're not losing points. And it's just a way of tracking how often something is occurring in class so that the parent can see how often it's happening. And it's just really another form of not only communication, but sort of data tracking to see how often something is occurring in the classroom. Another way that I communicate with parents is through email. I send a weekly email every Monday with just simple updates. Typically it's things that are happening at our school, dates and quizzes updates, and I do it on Class Dojo as well. And oftentimes people say, well, why do you do both? Well, because it depends. Some people love email and some people would rather use the Class Dojo app. And one of the things that I did this year that I haven't tried before that I really think is going to be beneficial is I am asking the families which method of communication they prefer. One, it's going to help me see if I need to continue with the class emails and maybe just stick with Class Dojo, or maybe I have sort of a split and I want to make sure that I am trying to communicate with each way as often as possible so that parents are getting the information, because ultimately at the end of the day I want parents to know what's happening, not what's necessarily the easiest way for me to do something. So if I need to do it twice, I'm okay with that because it's the same information and it doesn't take a whole lot of extra work. I will, in my class emails, especially at the beginning of the year, include links to sign up for Class Dojo, trying to get as many people, as many families connected as possible, because everybody has phones and our phones are always with us. Even though most of us have email on our phones, we get tons of emails a day, so I'm really trying to guide them toward Class Dojo because that is my preferred method. But like I said, if email is their preferred method, I want to have that way to communicate as well. I have always felt that it is better to over communicate than to not communicate enough. I would rather have the same information in lots of different places, whether it's through Class Dojo, our class website, through an email, through physical copies that I send home. I'd rather over communicate than for parents to be confused or for them to not have known something. Families are busy, there's sports, there's after school events, there's all the school events. If they have multiple children in multiple grades, maybe even at multiple schools, that's a lot of information. So I want to make it as easy as possible for parents to figure out what's going on in our classroom without having to dig through a bunch of things. If you're curious how I use Class Dojo to run my class store with points and what students are purchasing with those points, check out the video that's on your screen now.